Please come to order. Rise for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If everyone would please remain standing for a moment of silence in honor of Steve Zellner, our long-term employee who passed away recently. Please keep him and his family in your thoughts. Thank you. Welcome to the village board meeting of June 26, 2023. Roll call, please.
Possession.
Here.
Kraus.
Here.
Gardner.
Here.
Stacy.
Here.
Terry. Giannotti.
Here.
Okay, in your packet you have the minutes of the last meeting. Does anyone have any changes? If not, can we have a motion to approve?
So.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Yeah.
Possession.
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Gardner.
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Giannotti.
Yes.
And village clerk's report.
We needed to find out who plans to walk in the 4th of July parade or ride in the 4th of July parade, and what vehicles we're going to be using, and depending on how many are going to be, depends on how many vehicles we need. Do we know? I know I have 2 trustees who've already given me an answer.
I will be.
I will be as well.
Okay.
Nope.
No, you.
Yeah, I'm gonna be passing too. I was messaging with the family all watching from the sidelines and waving at you guys.
I'll just make sure the parade goes off, okay?
Took your rolls out this year.
I
Okay.
get to wear my red shirt that
So I
day.
just gotta find out about Joe Terry.
Orange.
The vehicles should be brought to the village hall. We'll probably need 2. Do we know?
It's gonna be the police golf cart and theirs.
An arrows. Okay.
So that's already each.
Just bring them here to the village hall. You can set up a time. The decorations will be in this room, and then you will proceed to line up on Miller between Elliott and Dunbar between 3:30 p.m. and 4 p.m. for lineup. I also received a letter from the Will County Center for Community Concerns in Joliet requesting a donation from the village. The Center for Community Concerns provides assistance for low-income residents for paying utility bills, rent, emergency food and shelter. Attached is their letter and a list of services that they provide. The services are available for all village residents, but the attached list would include anyone with a Beecher address, so that'd probably be a trailer park out in the country. I also forwarded the letter to the township, to the clerk over there, since they provide a community assistance fund to village and township residents. If the village wants to consider a donation, then that would have to be a motion made at a future meeting, so it's something that the board can think about. Also want to mention the Illinois Municipal League Conference will be held this year from September 21st to 23rd in Chicago. If any board member wants to attend, it's important to make the reservations early if you plan to stay overnight. Attached behind the Will County letter is a short summary of some of the offerings and the registration information. If you plan to attend, see me for more information, and I can also handle your registration. That's all that I have.
All right. Does anyone from the audience wish to address the board? Yes.
Can I not to hand you guys anything?
Sure, you can come on up.
Okay, so, in mind what I'm talking about, my son who races go-karts, these are his pictures. And I also have a schedule of several of what his race nights will be. And I hand those to everyone.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, I'm a little nervous.
That's okay, go right ahead.
My name is Candace Mincat, and I live at 299 Woodbridge Lane. This is my son, Brody Stano. So we come in front of the board today to ask for support and request to get approval to bring our karting trailer home to our house on the weekends. The trailer holds 2 go-karts, which my son races competitively. Brody is 8 years old. He attends Beecher Elementary since preschool. He's going into 3rd grade in August. I went to Beecher schools myself from second grade to my senior year of high school. My kids find it neat that some of my same teachers are their teachers. I have an 11-year-old going into junior high and a 5-year-old going into kindergarten. And some kids, they play baseball during the summer and the fall, but Brody, his passion is racing. If you were to ask him what he wants to be when he grows up, he'll tell you he wants to be a NASCAR driver. This sport racing go-karts is how they start out. We actually met Kelly Earnhardt, Dale Earnhardt's daughter, at one of the tracks Brody races at. She was there with her son, Wyatt Miller, and his dream is to become a NASCAR driver as well, and that's how they start out. Brody's race season starts at the beginning of May and goes into the second week of October. We have 12 race nights left for the rest of the season. Brody races Saturday nights in Kankakee at the Kankakee County Fairgrounds behind the Speedway. There's a dirt track. He's been racing since he's been 6 years old. He's come a really long way, and so far this season he holds 3 feature wins. Last year he won 3rd place in his season, and in his season he was the youngest kid in his race class, which the class usually ranges from 8 to 12 years old. He was 7, and they bumped him up since there were no rookies there. He also received the Most Improved Trophy. 3 years ago, he took 1st place in his rookie season, where he brought home a trophy almost the same size of him, and he got himself a jacket with Rookie of the Year, his name embroidered on it. His dad used to do it too. He won as well, so they both have matching jackets. Last weekend, when we were racing, Brody topped out at almost 44 miles an hour. That's pretty fast for an 8-year-old. And we pay somewhere to store our trailer. We were not asking to keep it at our home, to store it there. We're just asking if we could bring it home on the weekends, since there's a lot of preparation for this sport. And there's a lot of things that need to be done in order to keep him safe. So after we race on Saturday, and we're usually there, we leave at about 1, 3 o'clock on Saturdays. We don't come home till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And his dad needs to look over his card and make sure, because you know they bump, they wreck, make sure nothing is wrong, everything can be put back together and everything is in place so that he can be safe. We also pack a lot of things because we're there all day, and I have 3 kids, so we load it when it's at our house. The trailer would be at our house Friday evening. We leave Saturday anytime between 1 and 3, and we usually don't get home till 1 or 2 in the morning, and it will be gone on Sunday evenings. If Friday isn't feasible, we could do Saturday to where we can pick it up in the morning and pack it, and you can look over the stuff, and it would be gone on Sunday. So for those parents whose kids are in other sports and really have a passion for it, for example softball, how disheartening would it be if the village told you your child was only allowed to bring their equipment home 3 days out of a 30-day period? I know our situation is unique, as my child's sport requires a trailer with all its equipment. But if there's any way for the board to take into some consideration, provide us with some kind of solution to where we're able to bring it home just for the race dates. Like I said, we have 12 nights left. We really appreciate it, and to support a young boy in a community, you know, we appreciate it tremendously. I also have, so for the Saturdays that he races, in May it was 3 Saturdays, June was 4 Saturdays, I'm sorry. July will be 3 Saturdays, August will be 3 Saturdays as well. September is a heavy month, and there's 5 Saturdays. October, there's only 1. The season ends October 14th. We would just really appreciate it if we could come to some sort of consideration so he can continue to love what he does and be safe. And we can bring it to our house just to get it ready, and then we'll bring it back on Sunday. Thank you for your time.
We'll consider, I know you and I have spoken, and
Yes.
you did a great job.
Thank you.
And, you know, our zoning ordinance, you know, we've talked about
Yes.
that. It allows for 3 days out of 30. The zoning ordinance is all up basically for reconsideration, which would do nothing for you this year because it's probably gonna be a year-long process. But, I think it's very good that you came and give everybody your side and, you know,
Well, this would be beyond just this year, though, you probably.
it's gonna be, right, you're
For
gonna
several
continue.
So, yes, it will continue. Like he said, his dream is to become a NASCAR driver, and he's been doing it since he was 6, and he's really passionate about it. Like last weekend, his friends' parents were throwing a summer bash for all the kids, and I was like, Brody, do you wanna go? And he's like, I wanna go. He's like, but I have to race, Mom. He goes, in order for me to be good, I have to race. He misses out on a lot of things to do with his friends because he's so passionate about it. that this is what he loves to do. Some kids love softball, some kids love baseball, Brody loves to race. And we do pay, we have a storage unit, or a storage place in Mantino where we pay to keep it there year round. It's just, it is an every weekend thing because he races on Saturdays.
Do you have pictures of the trailer? I know you have
I
pictures.
don't have any pictures of the trailers today.
Could you provide them to
How
us?
big are we talking of a trailer? I assume enclosed, because you have to keep all
Yeah,
the
it is
stuff secure.
enclosed,
10 foot, 20 foot,
12
no,
foot.
maybe
12.
12 foot,
12 foot?
yeah, maybe a 12-foot trailer. It holds 2 of his go-karts.
What
So
is-
you
what
leave
is
it
getting
parked
ready
in your,
to eat? Oh, sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
no, you leave it parked in your driveway during this time?
Yes, we
When you
can.
bring it home.
Rob did have it connected to the truck because he was just gonna blow everything off and then take it in the morning, but if we need to put it into the driveway, you know, if you can get all the stuff off, put it into the driveway, and then leave with it on Sunday. Whatever situation you guys will give us that could possibly work, you know, we're up for all of that. It is 12 foot, I do believe.
Okay.
It's a nice trailer. It's not janky looking or ugly. But like I said, it's to keep him safe, to be able to look at it. Preparation is, so when we come home, on Saturday night, Sunday, he will take the cards off and he'll look at them and go over them to make sure everything's still intact, because they get into wrecks and they go really fast. He races with 8 to 12-year-old kids. So, and then he'll spray them off with the water hose, with the air hose, clean them up, and then he puts them back on, and then we can leave. He does take the tires off and clean the tires, and things like that. There might be some like adjustments that he needs to make, so he just works on it with his tools. A lot of our neighbors, when he did have them out there, they stop and they ask, like, what is this about? And they think it's really cool. We haven't had, that I know of, anybody that lives next to us complain about it or come up to us and say anything. Like, our one neighbors on the other side of us ask us every weekend, how's Brody doing? The other guy works for some company, he's like, I can manufacture some stuff for you if you'd like, you know? And we're always looking for sponsors. Dutch American Foods is one of our sponsors. I've worked for them for 12 years. It puts your logo on the side of his cart, you know? So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, go ahead, take your pictures. Yeah. All right, thank you very much for talking to us about
Yes,
it.
thank you.
All right. Does anyone else wish to address the board? Okay. Under my first item is we have a new police officer being sworn in, Connor DeButch. Would you guys like to come up?
I'd like to introduce Connor. He goes by CJ. He's 27 years old. He's here with his mother Debbie, and she's going to pin the badge on him. Hopefully he doesn't pin it in the chest. But Connor's been with us the last week, and I think he's really going to be a good fit. I think he's a good fit for us, and we're a good fit for him. I'm really excited to have him. Connor, if you and Debbie, you mind coming up, Debbie?
We gotta do this.
Next week, all right, all right.
You have the schedules.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Yeah, go ahead, they're gonna take some pictures, so, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Connor DeButch,
I, Connor DeButch,
having been appointed to the position of police officer
having been appointed to the position of police officer
in the village of Beecher,
in the village of Beecher,
in the county of Will,
in the county of Will,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the position of police officer
of the position of police officer
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Okay. Now you're.
She come out the badge first?
All right, now I got what Debbie's going to pin the badge on him. This is the big one.
And then Joe's right, we're gonna take another picture of you because he didn't have his badge on yet. another picture with you and him, how he has his badge on.
First one was the
Flip
board.
phones are.
I need your photo out. Do you want me to put it on this one?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Your photo out. Yep.
Sorry, iPhones.
All right.
I'm good.
You got it down, right, congratulations.
We finally get to see who's
Terry?
Is that mean it's for you? He'll tell me for stage 20 years.
Okay, 25,
Close, Joe. Over the wall. You got the color wheel.
All right. Under my report, we'd like to consider a proposal from B&F Code Incorporated for fire inspection services for the village of Beecher. Safe-Built was unable to provide an inspector, so 2 other firms were solicited. One of the firms could not commit its personnel at this time, but the other firm, B&F, did have a team of 4 certified fire inspectors. One of these would be assigned to Beecher for our program. The cost would be $90 per hour, and included, we would be charged for a one-way drive time. The inspector wears a red B&F code uniform and name tag and is trained in customer service. They would prefer a full day of inspections to make the drive worthwhile. It would actually be better for us too. And it's recommended we use this company for inspections. And I have the proposal in here.
It's $90 an hour plus they'll charge you for travel one day.
Yep.
And the old proposal was $125 an hour.
We're not making it
So
big.
it's gonna be a wash.
So
Pretty much.
the per inspection price, it says minimum 2 hours per trip per day, that's just 2 hours of be here, that's not the drive time, right? Okay,
Correct.
which we want them here a full day anyways to get it.
Right.
Okay,
To maximize it, then you can
Yeah.
get as many as you want.
and then the fuel surcharge, it says the national average goes over $5 an hour, it'll be an 8% increase automatic. Is that like for a certain amount of time, is it like if it hits 5, then it's just 8% forever, even if it goes down? We know how these
No,
prices fluctuate.
they only charge a surcharge if the price of gas goes.
So while the price of
Extraordinary
average is
high.
over 5, we get the
It's not their
surcharge.
intent to do that. That's just a safeguard for them.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
So basically, in the event that they would have to come back for like a re-inspection or something, and that was all they had to do, there was a possibility we pay $180 at one time. But our
We
intention
would
was
schedule that re-inspection on a day they were here anyway.
Exactly.
But we talked about doing a lot of it with photographs.
Okay, cause a lot of this stuff is time, like it's not time sensitive, it has to be done within the year, most of it.
Correct, that's what they told me. They said usually if you're under violation, you get till the next annual inspection to correct it.
Okay,
But if we wanna be a little more proactive, if you get your fire hydrant, your extinguisher re-tagged, take a picture of the new tag, send it to Patty. Patty will make sure the inspector gets it, we'll put it in the file.
okay.
And we're scheduling this, so that won't happen.
Correct.
Right.
Looks good. Do you have any motion?
So, yeah.
Make a motion and proposal from B&F Code for fire inspection services for the village of Beecher as proposed.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion? Roll call?
Giannotti?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Stacy?
Yes.
Gardner?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes.
Possession?
Yes.
Okay, South Suburban Airport update. There was an item that I got in the mail last week, and basically it's their annual update that they are required to give us, and it basically just said there's nothing new. There's been no more land acquired, there really wasn't anything to report, but they have to send us the report annually. July 10th Village Board meeting will be a little bit light due to the 4th of July holiday and the early date. We're going to keep the meeting short, so do not expect a lot of material to be presented. We'll hold all monthly reports until July 24th. And then later, at the end of the meeting, I'm going to ask for us to go into closed session. So, Finance and Administration Committee, Trustee Kraus.
Thank you. Consider a motion approving the bills as presented at the meeting. There is no changes, since this is, we do this every 2 weeks. So I would make a motion approving the bills as presented.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion?
I just want to add, so for last meeting, when we pulled that bill, it was not reintroduced in this, it was a duplicate, right? The one for.
We had already paid it, and if we would have paid that one, we'd have double paid
Yeah,
it.
so the one that we pulled last time and voted on is not in here again. It ended up being pulled.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Possession,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Genati.
Yes.
Audit process begins. Staff has been preparing documents and records from the previous fiscal year for the pending audit this July. Audit will be presented to the board in October.
I think we have dates for field work, 25th and 26th of July, correct?
Yeah.
Menard completes actuarial valuation of post-employment benefits in accordance with GASB Statement Number 75. I'm just gonna let Bob explain that, because
This is a requirement,
The
it's
great
called
Gatsby.
OPEB. It's a requirement now by law that we look at what our post-retirement employment benefits could cost the village down the road. It is a guess figure. They're saying that that is $229,787, even though we do not provide post-employment benefits at village expense, other than if you turn age 62 and you have 25 or more years of service, the village will pay for half of your premium for yourself, not for your family, but for yourself. This 229 is based on the assumption that people will retire prior to Medicare age, go on, stay on the village's plan, pay the premiums out of their own pension, but yet the rate may be affected because of their risk factors. That is what that number means. And it means absolutely nothing to me, so it probably shouldn't mean absolutely anything to you. But it's gotta go in the audit, you paid $1,800 to get that number, so you have a right to know what that number is.
couldn't have said any better myself. That's all I have.
All right. Public Buildings and Properties, Parks and Recreation Committee, trustee Giannotti.
Well, the Project Pickle update, it's still there? Any update on the fencing or anything?
They actually wanted to come out this week, but I told them that they couldn't do that due to the carnival employees camping there. They're still hoping to get the project 100% complete by the end of July. That's their goal at this point, so we'll see how everything plays out.
Just to let you know, in Libertyville, I just heard this tonight, there are people in neighborhoods complaining about
8 o'clock in the
pickleball
morning.
noises.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We have homes on Miller Street, but I think they're used to kids hot rodding out of the parking lot at 8 in the morning, so it won't be a factor here, but apparently neighbors are complaining that the pickleball is loud. I don't know, I've never heard it
There's
before.
not a lot for the sound to bounce off over there.
Wiffle ball
like
hitting the
tennis.
pavement?
Yeah,
That's-
but there's not a lot
that'd
of,
be crazy.
there's nothing really for the sound to bounce off. I don't think it'll be much of a
No.
nuisance.
The sound's off the pad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then Welton Step Park update.
I have nothing to report on that one.
Okay. Business as usual. Waiting for the fall.
That's it.
And then new public safety building design and bid update. Project schedule has been established by the architect and the engineer. The actual price may come in lower, but this is an estimate and does not include furnishings. There is the ability to go to bid as early as July 26th and open bids on August 30th. This would put us into October for site development. However, pricing remains extremely volatile, and we will have to collectively decide the best time to start the bid process. The schedule is enclosed for your review. That concludes my report.
All right. Planning, Building and Zoning Committee, trustee Gardner.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, the results of the PZC meeting last Thursday night, we held the workshop to begin the process of drafting the new zoning ordinance and map for the village of Beecher. Pete Francesco was there, basically outlined the process to the board. Then we also formed our steering committee, which is gonna consist of myself, George Schutema, and Bob Heim. We needed basically one official from the village and then one from the planning and zoning committee. Is that correct, Bob?
Yes, that's correct.
And then we ended up deciding, or they ended up deciding on 2 for them. And that's it, there was nothing else on the agenda.
Okay,
That concludes my report.
thank you. Public Safety Committee, Trustee Terry.
Thank you, Mayor. The results for the Cool Street Burnout event, I think it was a very successful event. I know they had like 62 vehicles registered for their car show, and there was about 15 other ones that showed up just to hang out in the grass area. There's probably around 50 motorcycles. And then for those of you that were there, I mean, to see some of the different motorcycles and the burnouts and stuff was neat. I spoke with a member of the Lions Club. As far as damage to the street, I didn't see any.
They're gonna
Some of
have
the
to
striping, yeah,
I mean, like, if we rebuilt, there's no damage to the road, but they did totally cover their yellow strip, though. I mean, I have some things I could talk about.
yeah, I did speak with them about the striping, and they said that if this event was to continue in the future, that they would be, obviously with the road being right now, I don't know, under construction, I don't know if it's needed to be restriped, but in the future, if they were to do it, they would either put stuff down or hire a company to come and restrip it for them. But I mean, I know they sold out. You know, they had a 200-pound pig that they wiped out, and plus a bunch of chicken. I don't know, Chief, stuff you want to add?
It was very well attended. The boardwalk was filled all the way from one side to the other. You had to stand in the back if you want to see, but I think, my opinion was most people came for the motorcycles and really not for the burnout, because there was only about 8 or 9 cars that participated in the burnout. And again, we would have, if they do it next year, if they decide to do it, they would have to restripe it and pay to have it restriped. But again, there was no damage to the road. It was very staffing intensive, but most of the Lions Club were cooking and serving the food. And we really need more, if we're gonna do this again, we really need more staffing. There are some safety issues that Bob and I talked about, that if we were gonna do this again, we would have to have these in place before we did it.
Like crowd control kind of things?
What's that?
Crowd control kind of things?
One thing is crowd control well, there was, we need to have people in all areas. We need people at the car show, we need people at the volunteers at the event itself, at both sides where we need people at the food area, which they had plenty of people there, but they didn't have enough people. We need people, we need volunteers keeping people away from the event, because the motorcycles are running up and down the street. It has to be done safe. I'm a motorcycle enthusiast. I thought it was a phenomenal event, but I think it put the village at risk because we didn't have enough safety things in place, to be honest with you. And Bob and I actually stopped them. They were gonna do it one last time, and we didn't have people in place, and said, please, no. We can't have you doing it. Too many people walking around now, and we didn't have volunteers. So, really good event, really well attended. If they made a lot of money, great. If they didn't, I don't know that we'd wanna support it next year if they didn't make good money.
I got an email from Joe Berg that said about $2 grand,
They made $2 grand? Good.
roughly around there somewhere.
I think, also I'd like to review the insurance rider that they got to make sure that, everybody's covered in that rider, for next year, so, if they wanna do it. And I'd volunteer again, I'm sure Bob did. Bob, do you have anything to add to it?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of safety issues. People hanging out by the barriers when they were doing the burnouts. A couple of times I had to run in there and people were trying to push the cars away from the wall. So I think a lot of both ends of the street being blocked were not being managed, and cars were coming in, motorcycles were coming in while these motorcycle guys are running. So there's a lot of safety issues that if it does again, I think it needs to be addressed. Because we were kind of running our butts off trying to make sure stuff was safe. One of the bikes hit a show car. We were very lucky nobody got hurt, but
There's no damage.
no damage. But I think there's a lot of safety concerns that we need to address next year when we do this.
I'd just like to make a comment. I like how we're saying we, but I thought the agreement was that this was a Lions Club event and not
I
a
was
village
gonna ask
event.
who's we, I mean, this is not our event.
Yeah,
So-
and I really think, I mean, we make the 4th of July commission pay part of the security fee for a village-sponsored event. If we're gonna be providing staff for it, I think that needs to be a factor in if it's something we consider down the road.
I totally agree with that.
Well, it'd just be like any other event, if they need security or police, then they have to hire them at the off-duty rate. I mean, it's like any other event that we have.
But I just wanna make sure that it's reiterated that this wasn't a village event, there's no, we were there
But
as
we are,
safety.
even though it's not a village event, we
Yeah.
do assume some liability, and that's my issue. as a
Yeah.
police chief.
Absolutely.
No, and I understand that, and I appreciate you bringing that to our attention, chief. I just, that's only my comment on it.
Thank you, and I know when I spoke with, members of the Lions Club too, they were saying how, it was good outreach for them, because now new members are actually looking to try and become members, you know, and they're looking, you know, it gave them an opportunity to get more volunteers, so, thank you for, you know, your guys' opinions. As far as the, 4th of July prep update, Bob, do you have anything?
I'll turn it over to Joe or
Parks.
Todd. You were
Park's
we
coming
going-
along. Yeah, we, ended up working the weekend, getting some stuff done, ahead of, Public Works coming out, so they were able to actually do some extra stuff that we normally don't get done, like string trimming and, some of the other things, cause we had already gotten the fence up and got the tent frames up. Sounds like everything's good, Carnival is arriving, so just so everyone's aware, they actually, another round of semis was just pulling into town before we came into the meeting today, so, their intention is to start a little bit of a slower setup tomorrow morning and probably start hitting it kinda harder on, Wednesday, from what I understand, is when they're really gonna start getting some of the bigger stuff up and going. And then, we're gonna do our due diligence to keep them as far south as we can to increase parking, but, and our safety meeting is scheduled for Wednesday
Yeah,
morning.
public safety review, they're pulling a incident number for this, so Will County's on notice in case we need them. But we're gonna review our severe weather protocols. Two new things we'll be discussing this year is because of the drought, we have to make sure the fireworks show is as safe as possible. And we have some ideas on how to address that. We have a hydrant right on the fireworks launch pad. We actually have a hydrant in the launch pad area, so we're good for water. The other thing is we'll have a discussion on flash mobs. We have a protocol that we're gonna follow for that, and we have some preemptive measures which we can utilize for that. So those are, and of course, the third new thing is Penfield Street Bridge is gonna be closed. We're gonna have to direct foot traffic to use our new bridge in the middle of the park in order to get to the festival.
And we do have signage and stuff like that, to help
Yeah.
people so they know where to go, and, pretty sure that the elementary drive will still be open for parking,
Yes.
so.
It has to be.
The Will County Sheriff is sending auxiliary officers on July 1st to bolster our, staffing as well.
What time's the meeting on Wednesday?
10 a.m.
Here?
Yep, in the
park.
in the park over the
Park.
in the beer tent, yep.
And then, our bike rodeo is scheduled for July 1st. The registration time is gonna be from 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. The rodeo will start promptly at 9 a.m. and then you must be registered in order to participate. And that concludes my report.
All right. Public Works Committee, trustee Stacy.
Thank you, Mayor. Penfield project update will be Friday.
Bridge was closed as of this morning. I was told that trustee Giannotti was the last person to drive over the old bridge. I showed up to work in the park this morning.
They're pulling the signs across.
I want to defer to Matt to give you a lot more details of what's going on out there. And Matt, you know, is probably better than I do as to the detail of what they're
Yeah,
replacing the water main now.
So they've reset 3 water mains, working from around Birch area down to the creek at this point. What they have to lower the cross connections for the water main due to the storm line going over the top of them. So that's been something that they've been working on. We've been over there almost daily with them, valving stuff up and down, and they've installed approximately 300 or 400 feet so far of the new storm line. They did disconnect the water main on the bridge today. Deconstruction will be on site tomorrow to begin demolition of the old bridge. As soon as the old bridge comes out, then they're reinstalling the new water main, and once that is installed, then the new bridge will begin being constructed. They have a 4 to 6 week timeline for that, weather permitting, and if everything goes as planned, which we all know construction, it probably won't. But their goal is to get everything east of the creek done as much as possible before the August 21st, I believe, is the first day of school. They're trying to get as much done in that general area as they can before they start moving to the west side of the creek. You will see activity west of the creek, like today. They started working on the parking lot by Reed Street, up by the railroad tracks. That was due to Rail Pro flaggers being available today. They basically run the show when they're available. So in order to do that parking lot, today was their day to begin that process. I don't know how long that's going to take or anything like that, but they do have 2 crews here now working on both sides of the creek for now, but their main goal west of the creek is the Reed Street parking lot. So there's activity going on over there, as I'm sure you guys have noticed. It's going to be a lot more difficult now to get around than it was before. They are keeping the road open as much as possible, except for by the bridge. They did what's called milled in place, so that way they left the grindings in place so that way people can still access their driveways instead of leaving trenches and things of that nature. So, so far everything's going pretty well. We have a progress meeting tomorrow morning at 9 or 10 o'clock tomorrow, and we'll figure out what their next game plan is and where they're going.
If you need to get to the post office, you can get there, or the library. Library, use Maxwell Street, use their Maxwell Street driveway. Post office, take Woodward Street off of Indiana Avenue, make a right turn and go right into the post office. Then you can either take the alley or Maxwell Street on your way out. That's the easiest way to get there. Don't turn off at Dixie and expect to get to the post office, not gonna happen. Until further notice.
Okay, and then we have our Indiana Avenue resurfacing update. A pre-construction meeting was held last Thursday. And what do we
Yes.
have on that?
They didn't, the first thing that's gonna happen, and it's supposed to start this week, and I told Matt it's not gonna happen, is they're gonna start replacing the sidewalk on Indiana Avenue, the ramps. They're not ADA accessible, so they have to do that. We were there to protect our wallets because they wanna charge us for that work, because they're our sidewalks. And they did admit to us that they failed to notify us what that engineer's estimate of cost is. And now that they've opened bids, they know what the cost is, and we said, wait a minute, it's not in our budget, how do we pay? And they were listening. And I don't know if we're gonna have to pay any of it at this point. But work is supposed to start this week, they said. But the county and the contractor have not signed the contract. And I know how government works, it's several weeks before that's gonna happen. So I'm guessing they're gonna start in mid-July with the sidewalks. Then they're starting on Route 50 and moving their way east down one lane and head back toward Peatone in the other. Rolling roadblocks, only during the day. The road will always be open, one-lane traffic while they're working. So they're doing a mill, binder course, and final, all in one series as they move down the road. And they do have locations for their grindings, I was told. So that's Indiana Avenue. Hopefully by September 1st, that'll be done.
Okay, and then we have the Gould Street Water Main Project, replacement punch list update.
We'll let Matt do that.
Matthew?
95% of everything on that punch list has been completed. I'll be honest with you, I don't know if Mr. Soppett's restoration has been done. I did not make it up there today to
Yeah, he
to
hasn't been.
see. He hasn't been
He
back.
has a very legitimate beef.
He does, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the one and only outstanding issue, if it still remains, is his B-box area settled.
And I told him that if we had a problem with the contractor getting it done, we will get it done.
And I did see that email, but I never saw a response that Baxter sent to M&J in regards to that address, and I never saw a response though.
Okay, Dixie Highway Water Main Crossover Project. Develops and obtained commitments to sign easement on the east side of Dixie between Miller and Fairway paperwork for $500,000 grant from the county is being processed. We will be ready to go to bid on the project later this fall, once the county executes the grant agreement. The committee still needs to plan, finance, $639,000 village share of the project and front the additional $500,000. And that's all I have.
Do you guys have a timeline, Roger, when you're meeting, to look at financing?
No, I don't.
Economic Development Community Relations Committee, Trustee Session.
Thank you very much. First off, results of the Shout Section Band Concert on June 18th. So the weather was pretty good actually, and so thankfully we were able to keep the show outside of the bandstand. On that note, I would like to thank the Community Hall Board and part-time players for being willing to accommodate us on short notice in case of rain and being easy to work with on that front. We did have a relatively good turnout considering Father's Day holiday and lack of food for sale. We did have a number of people coming up to the food stand though, hoping to be able to purchase food. So in the future, perhaps picnics in the park style events, maybe we should instead maybe do something like at minimum, something easy like hot dogs or burgers or something. That's what we were talking about, Eric. But other than that, yeah, I thought it went pretty well. Eric, any notes on your side? Since you were the other guy there, yeah? All good? Cool. Consider an ordinance authorizing the village president and clerk to sign a redevelopment agreement with Union Electronics, Inc. to provide TIF reimbursement equal to the purchase price of the property at a rate of 75% per year, capped at 12 years, excluding any partial years. This agreement is in conformance with the resolution the village board just adopted, and the purchase price is $975,000. Please see the enclosed agreement.
I'm gonna throw a little wrinkle into this. I was called today by the seller of the property stating that there's gonna be a revised purchase agreement for the property at $1 million, not at $975,000, because Union Electronics had to buy an additional 20 feet on the back end of the property to meet the setback requirements for the building, because it's going to 100,000 square feet. I said, well, the board typically wouldn't amend the agreement until we had a signed letter of intent. But we would have to probably, if we approve this tonight, have an amended ordinance to $1 million at a future meeting. And I would prefer we do it that way, because I don't have a legal document that says it's $1 million. And I don't wanna get stuck in a precedent where we're changing things on the fly without proper documentation. So I would recommend we pass this ordinance tonight, knowing full well we probably have to pass an amended one down the road if it ends up being one.
So that's fine, but is there any reason, like, that it's better to pass one today as opposed to waiting for the signed letter?
Yes, I think we need to show intent that we're willing to do this.
Okay,
But I'm not willing to go to $1 million until I have the paperwork to back that up.
sounds good. So in that case, an ordinance number?
1389.
All right, in that case, I will make a motion to accept ordinance 1389, authorizing the village president and clerk to sign a redevelopment agreement with Union Electronics, Inc. to provide TIF reimbursement equal to the purchase price of the property at a rate of 75% per year, capped at 12 years, excluding any partial years, with a purchase price of $975,000.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion? Roll call.
Giannotti,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Possession.
Yes. And that concludes my report.
All right. Any old business to come before the board? Okay, then I would ask someone to make a motion to go into closed session.
For the purposes of discussing a replacement for the water operator and to consider a resolution.
Make a motion to go into executive session to discuss the lead water operator and letter of resignation.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Possession.
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Giannotti,
Yes.